Hello, world. It is Monday, December 19th, 2022, and looking out the window at France. It's typical, excuse me, winter day in the Midwest, and it's overcast. But it's really cold today, 22 degrees, and I think this week it's going to be pretty frigid, especially by the weekend. We're talking single digits, close to zero as the low. The devotion for today is entitled Imagining Gutsy Mary, and it's written by Mary Ludy. Try that again. Mary bases the devotion upon Luke chapter 1, verses 47 and 48, and 52 and 53. Mary said, "My soul magnifies my God, for you have looked with favor on the lowliness of your servant. You have brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. You have filled the hungry and sent the rich away empty." In this song, Mary calls herself, and then Mary writes, in this song, Mary calls herself lowly, which doesn't mean humble or meek. It means poor. It's not a metaphor. Mary was poor, dirt poor. She sings about God's new world in the way poor people always have, in the midst of life's hard grief. She feels its joy while up to her neck in privation, which is perhaps the only place where such imagination is even possible. It takes imagination to sing about a new world in the midst of the violence and the pain of the old. No matter when or where, it also takes guts to sing of the powerful dethroned, of poor bellies filled. It's like a raised fist. Try doing it in the boardroom of the Amazon. The gift is not always welcome everywhere. Mary's got guts, and she's pregnant with imagination, pregnant with a child. And like pregnant women, she dares to believe that it's God's new world growing in her womb, that her child will one day make all the difference. You don't have to be pregnant to imagine like Mary, but we can't imagine at all if we won't relinquish our privilege and confess that things aren't the way God intends, and that we're part of the problem. If we can't contain our avarice to receive the dream with uncluttered hearts, if we can never find true solidarity with the dirt poor, with Marys everywhere, and if we can't imagine, we can't hope. And if we can't hope, we can only fear. And if there's only fear, we know what that does to us and where it leaves us, where it always left the world. And Mary's prayer. We want to hope. We want a new world. Give the church, give me the guts and imagination of Mary. Now, for me, this devotion reminds me of a couple of different things. One is just the power of fear and how much those who seek to have power try to use fear to get us to give them that power. Being afraid of the other, being afraid of even their military force or their police force or their people or their crowds. They use fear to stir up people's emotions. And as Mary said in her devotion, when there's only fear, you know what that does to us and where it leaves us. The other thing I think this helps me to remember to think about is the people that are poor and are really struggling, or when I'm feeling poor. I mean, financially I'm not, but there are times I have an emotional vacuum, I guess you might say. And it's, I think, thinking of God and thinking of what has been done in the world to help those who are struggling the most. And sometimes I think, and you might see it more prevalent in churches in poor areas, the joy that people have because their Sunday worship is the only joy that they have. I mean, it's one of the things that bore out the African American spirituals. Many of them have telling a sad story, but sometimes the tunes are mixed with a sense of joy because that was the only thing they ever had while they were enslaved. So that's just a couple of things that came to my mind as I was reading this. But don't let fear fill you. Instead, look to the love of God to fill you and to take action and to be in solidarity with the poor. I hope you have a good day and I hope to talk to you again tomorrow.